Okay, so Mitch, when I say Bob Cousy, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
One of the two, him and George Mikan are the two oldest basketball players I know. Like, honestly, like what, or the first two oldest basketball players I know, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you think whenever I was a kid, there's I didn't grow up in a basketball family by any means. Like it was baseball and football in the Cell household. And then when I started to give a little bit of a crap about basketball, my grandma got me this like historic basketball book. It's a Sports Illustrated book that gives you the full history of basketball with great photos in it. And it gives you a decades team for each of the decades. And the 50s, it was Mikan and Cousy, like the two names that like popped off this book for me. And so Cousy was just and then former Celtic too, as that like has ties for me as a Celtics fan. And so you continue to learn more and more about the game, and you're like, this guy was one of the earliest crazy ball handlers that we have, and he's just one of the he always dribbled with his right hand, but boy, did he make it look flashy. It was a continuous learning experience about Bob Cousy, and you learn that he doesn't win until he finally has his big man at center, and his name is Bill Russell. But he is one of the earliest superstars that this league has, or the earliest big names that this league has.
Yeah, and I think a really important name in the league's history because he was like a showman. It wasn't just that he was so good; he actually made the game entertaining, and people want to come watch and see him play and pay money to come see him play. At the time, that was a huge deal because I don't think people can underestimate how different the NBA was in the 1950s. I mean, it's just, it was college basketball was way more popular. Football, boxing, all this stuff, baseball. I mean, it's just not even close. Like it's just like very small on the national, kind of scale. But Cousy did have a style of play that people enjoyed. And I think, made those Celtics teams really good. Obviously they don't become, great until they get Bill Russell. So that's where he maybe falls short of like being in the very upper echelon. And again, we don't need to do this every time. There's kind of an older player on the list, but like, obviously, we are well aware that if you just did the time machine thing and dropped Bob Cousy in today's game, he wouldn't look as good. It's like I maybe I don't even need to say this anymore. I mean, you can maybe correct me if I'm wrong, Mitch, but like I just feel like people are gonna say like Bob Cousy top 50, like you don't have Kyrie, like that's crazy. It's like of course Kyrie Irving is more skilled. If they played 1-on-1, he would destroy him. All that stuff. That's not the point. All you can do is play in the era that you played in, and Bob Cousy dominated his era more than some of the other guys that we don't necessarily have in the top 50 that are a similar position. So also just like it's hard to tell the story of the league without talking about Bob Cousy. He was just a hugely important figure for those early years. So if we are going to count those early years, which we think you should, he needs to be on this list. So where do we have him in our tiers ranking?
So we have Bob Cousy in our like back tier, our final tier of the top 50 is in what we call the Ruby tier, the 41 to 50 tier. And again, we kind of did this last episode with Harden. Just similar names that are with him are guys like Russell Westbrook, guys like Gary Payton, similar position, but also guys who, in our mind, were great number twos on some great teams. Now, Cousy won a few titles. Don't get me wrong. He won a few more than these guys did. However, you realize once he is like the secondary option, he kind of fits the mold of a lot of these different guys that we have in this tier of like, you are clearly a really talented player. Like Westbrook, won an MVP. Like Westbrook also was one of the better like assist creators for his teammates, as well as like Peyton. Like Paul Pierce, stepped up in big moments whenever the Celtics needed them. And it's a consistent player. However, you realize he needed a secondary guy to be the secondary guy on a really good team, on a team that surrounded itself with a lot of really good players. And so he is such a talented portion. And to go back to what you said real quick, it's not bad that we keep bringing up that like, hey, you can only play in the era. The guy can only play in the era he was playing in. I just would ask that if you're listening to this pod, if you're listening to these episodes, I like to think you understand that as well. Like Bob Cousy is a top 50 player because of the impact he had in the game, but also because the level of success he had in the era he was playing in. And so I think his Jenga tower is much bigger than others. And that's what we'll keep going back to. His Jenga tower is bigger than others or more impressive than others. And so, Adam, when you look at his career, because he won an MVP, and especially the second MVP in NBA's history at that point in 56, because I think that was when they started doing MVPs was in 56, and then he won it in 57. Right? Am I misremembering that?
I believe that might be the first one. Yeah, it's like mid 50s when they first started giving out MVP. So yeah, he is one of the first players to ever be named NBA MVP, and that year is the year before Bill Russell comes in.
Correct. And so that's the other thing too, because we have All NBA that happens a few years before that. That starts kicking in, and he never misses an All-Star game in his entire career, except for his 7-game blip he plays in 1970 later on in his career. But he in his 13 years with Boston never misses an All-Star game, which is kind of impressive. But a consistent player, a continuous winner with this Celtics team, a 6-time champ, an 8-time assist leader. He does it for 8 straight years, from 53 to 60, which again, like Harden, we just have talked about his ability to create for others, which is so apparent. And we watched that in one of the games later on, and you also just see it in highlights. Just like, while he might have been a wizard with the basketball in his hands, the Houdini of the hardwood, the man also just knew how to get guys open or pass guys open, it felt like, in a league that you needed to be passed open a few times, I felt like.
Yeah. And okay, so yeah, the first MVP award was 56. Cousy wins in 57, which was Russell's rookie year. So I had that just barely, messed up there. So yeah, no, Bob Pettit was the first ever MVP.
Correct.
In 1956. Cousy wins it. So back-to-back Bobs. That if that tells you it's 1950s. If that doesn't tell you what it's the 1950s, then I don't know what does. So yeah, Pettit in 56, Cousy in 57, which is also doubles as Russell's rookie year. And then Bill Russell wins it the next year in his second season. But yeah, so no, I mean, he's an MVP. I mean, yeah, the accolades are like absurd. Like when you really like break them down, like Bob Cousy's like accolades, like you said, the 13-time All-Star, all these All-NBA teams, 6-time NBA champion, 12-time All-NBA, just a ridiculous career. I mean, again, the style was so huge. And, we talk about the people like watch the old clips of him and like, oh, like how could this be like, the guy that like revolutionized the game? It's like, man, when you watch a full game, which we were lucky enough to do, obviously we did the work and actually did this, you kind of see it. And this was his last game. He's on his last legs, the game that we watched.
Yeah.
It literally, well, I guess not technically his last game as a pro because he does have that crazy. So yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, Bob Cousy plays 13 years with the Celtics? How many years was it?
Yeah, 13.
Yeah, 13 years with the Celtics. 13 years with the Celtics. Doesn't play for 7 years and then comes back at 41 years old and plays 7 games for the Cincinnati Royals and scores less than a point a game. I mean, he's just like clearly not, anywhere close to what he used to be. So he technically did play for 2 NBA teams because he plays 7 games with the Cincinnati Royals in 1970, way after his career is over. But just like this goofy little thing, it's like one of those things that happened, at the time that, obviously wouldn't happen in today's game. A guy is coming back 7 years later. But yes, do you want to get to the 5 games we have for Cousy?
Let's do it. Let's get to the 5 games that we believe define Bob Cousy's career.
Yeah, so, look, this one, it requires research. It's like, I don't know Bob Cousy's career like the back of my hand like I do, LeBron
Right.
James's, so it's like this was actually really fun to kind of dig into. And, some of like the year he won MVP and all that stuff, but to actually go through and like kind of research these games, I mean, just some very fun scores and box scores to kind of flip through. So first one we have is the 1953 Eastern Division semifinals. So this is a best of 3 series. The Celtics are up 1-0 going into this second game. This is pre-shot clock, right? So there's no shot clock in the NBA at this point, but some teams still did play relatively fast. 4 overtimes this game goes to. It finishes 111-105. Bob Cousy has 50 points in this game, shooting 10 of 22 from the field and 30 of 32 from the line. Bob Cousy, just a crazy stat line.
James Harden of the 50s.
Yes, they did keep points. They did keep rebounds and assists. He had 3 rebounds, 2 assists in this game. So obviously not a super high assist game for him. But yeah, a 50-point playoff game
with
30 of 32 from the line. Yeah, just a crazy stat line for the old Coos in this one. Next one is the 1957 Finals Game 5. This is St. Louis Hawks at Boston Celtics, and this is obviously St. Louis in the West. The NBA is much smaller at this point. The East and West is the divide is not nearly as big as it used to be. But this is probably his best overall Finals game. This is Russell's rookie year. Let me actually pull up his full line here. So it finishes 124-109. The Boston Celtics win, and Bob Cousy has 21 points and 19 assists in this game. He just routinely put up numbers like this, which is what made him so good. And the third game on the list is the Minneapolis Lakers at Boston Celtics. And I got to get the full line on this one, too, because I think this is the one. Yeah, this is a regular season game. He sets the record for most assists in the game with 28 assists in this contest, which finishes. Let me actually find the right game.
Isn't it second all time?
It's still second all time. Yeah, Scott Skiles now has the record.
Right.
Yeah, because he had 30 in a game in the 90s. But yeah, go on this game while I find the actual box score, because some of these early games are just like hilarious.
Well, and this is still like pre Minneapolis, the Lakers moving to LA too. So like that's just one of the funny things to go back and realize. But this is like we're starting this rivalry too in like the late 50s between the Lakers and the Celtics too, and so it's West versus Coos, and this is just such a fun like duel between those two as well.
Yes. Okay. So finally got the full box score up. Okay. Again, 31 points, 28 assists, 5 boards,
Gosh.
10 of 18 from the field. He plays 45 minutes, 11 of 12 from the line. The final score, 173 to 139. This does not go to overtime. Yeah, the Celtics really did have these games. They call it that fast break machine. That's what they kind of refer to their team as sometimes, because Russell would get blocks or rebounds, and he just immediately fired out. And he's not even playing in this game, but he'd immediately fire out, and they would just run. So yeah, Jim Lustikoff actually played in this game. Bill Sharman scores 29. Tommy Heinsohn 43 and 11 in this game.
Yeah.
Frank Ramsey with 20 off the bench. I mean, just like some crazy stat lines. And then for the Lakers, it's Vern Mickelson with 25. Jerry West was hurt. Or no, this is before Jerry West came in. This is Elgin Baylor. Like rookie year, I believe. Elgin Baylor has 28 and 20 in a losing effort. But yeah, 173-139 Celtics win over the Minneapolis Lakers. Just, a crazy, crazy score. And the 1959 finals, game 3. This is, again, that Lakers-Celtics rivalry. This is the first time they meet in the finals, I believe. Maybe
yes,
50, first time they meet in the finals. He's 59.
57, they played the Hawks, and then 58, they also play the Hawks.
They lose to the Hawks. Yes,
correct.
Yes. So this is the first time they actually meet in the finals. First of many, and this is another just crazy performance from Bob Cousy. So let me pull up his full. This is also the finals being taking place on April 7th. Is so funny. They go up 3-0 in the series. Cousy finishes 23 points, 19 assists, 11 of 15 from the free throw line. Again, just like one of those just drivers of offense. Russell Westbrook. Bill Russell in this game, 8 points, 30 rebounds.
Yeah.
I
just don't even know the block. I want to watch it just to know the block number, but there's no footage, unfortunately.
Yeah. No, it's a shame. But no, it's these old scores, and I mean the game was just played so differently, as we'll get into our last one. So 1963 finals, game 6, Boston Celtics at Los Angeles Lakers. This is Bob Cousy's final game, and this is the game that we just did. It's the one full game we could find of him on YouTube, and it's a lot of fun to watch.
So why don't you tell us then how we got here for this final game in 1963? Because like you said, it's his final game, but it's his final game with the Celtics. Let's just clarify that again, because the stupid 7 games he plays 6 or 7 years later with the Royals.
I know. It's almost like frustrating that like we have to kind of put that caveat every single time out, because this is such a perfect way to go out because of how this game plays out. So again, they're meeting in the finals. At this point now, it's full on. It's Cousy, it's Russell. It's Russell is kind of the dominant force in the league. Jerry West is on the Lakers at this point. They're in LA at this point, and it's the West and Baylor teams, and they make the finals a bunch of years in a row here against the Celtics. So this is a 7-game series. Obviously, the Celtics won the first 2 in Boston. Lakers respond with a 20-point win in Game 3 in LA. Boston then wins a tight Game 4 in LA to take a 3-1 lead. And then LA responds with a huge win on the road, with the Celtics having a chance to kind of send Cousy off in this like perfect farewell in Boston. But the Lakers win by 7 on the road in Game 5, setting up this Game 6 back in LA. So obviously, if the Lakers win this, they force a Game 7. Celtics win, they win another title. It's their 5th in a row if they win it, and Cousy's 6th overall. This is a rookie. John Havlicek is on this team. Tommy Heinsohn's on this team. Satch Sanders is one of the other starters. For the Lakers, it's Baylor, West, Rudy LaRusso, Gene Wiley, Dick Barnett with the crazy jump shot, Leroy Ellis, Frank Selvey, and Jim Krebs. That's a guy I'd not really ever watched any games or any footage of at all, if I'm honest. And then for Celtics, it's also like Frank Ramsey, Casey Jones, Sam. I mean, just a bunch of Hall of Famers. Basically, just the roster is Hall of Famers.
Yeah. No. Russell plays the full 48. Baylor plays 47 of the 48. It's full energy, and I don't understand how these guys had the endurance to kept playing like this. Like, it is impressive. I think that's one of the more impressive things is the endurance some of these guys had, and you can see some of them are slowing down a little bit too. But it's like the Celtics fast break offense is just in full motion in this game. Also, can we not shout out the cameraman in this game, because it almost made me want to throw up a few times.
Yeah,
my motion sickness was kicking in a little bit. So if you ever go back and watch this game, be prepared.
Don't expect production level of 2026. Yeah.
Well, honestly, with some ESPN games, you can predict that production level, because they've dropped in quality. They've let AI write all their post game recaps on ESPN, and it makes me angry. Okay, Adam, this is funny to me just because it's the one game we'll do for this guy. But what is the stretch of this game, the sequence of the game that fully defines the Bob Cousy experience?
Okay, so I cheated just a tad, and I actually put the interview after the game because
You jerk.
I know it's like it's so like it's just such a like of its time, just like good old boy like interview
Yeah.
and just like the way they're talking to each other, and so like I mean so like cordial too. It's like it's genuinely like a nice moment, and he's going out on top, and they're so happy for him and proud of him, you know, the national broadcast, and I thought that was actually like really cool and kind of showed like his that side of him because he was great at that part, right? Kind of like selling the game. He was in ads. Like he was one of the first guys that actually had, you know, like a whole ad campaign built around him for different things. So I think that part to me summed him up. Obviously he plays pretty well, you know, despite his kind of advanced age at this point, but that was kind of like a perfect encapsulation of like kind of who he was as a personality.
No, I completely agree, and that's fine. I mean, there's the Russell one that he has after they win in '69, and it's felt very similar to that.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Not as emotional
No.
as I think as Russell has in '69, but yeah, it's very similar in my mind to that. I had his third quarter because I literally there's 3 times in the third quarter he points at Heinsohn, Sanders, and Havlicek or not Havlicek. I think it was Ramsey. He literally points at them, passes it at them, and they shoot and score. It is 3 of his 7 assists in this game happened in that third quarter where he's literally passing guys into baskets, and it's truly impressive, honestly, for a guy to his IQ at this point in the NBA is on another level than some of these guys, and it shows at this point. Plus, you can see the connection that him and Russell have in this third quarter because, listen, I mean, we have Russell hint at everyone. He's up high in our list But Russell's line is 12, 24, and 9, almost a triple-double in this game. And Cousy has a great game, 18, 3, and 7. And it feels like there's moments where he is relinquishing this, like, almost like the passing of the torch is happening mid-game. And he's like, I'm just trying to get this final title. Can someone I'm going to point at you guys just to hit the shot so that way we can just move on to the next stage. Because he's like, it feels like he's ready to move on. But you can see that in that third quarter, he's literally passing guys into made shots.
Yeah, and he also, I mean, I guess we should maybe talk about this a little bit. I don't want to do a ton of this like when we watch old games, but like look at the difference between today's game. Like obviously it's different.
Yeah.
It's 63 years ago, but I was talking to a couple of guys that I coach with who used to play for me, and now they help me coach my younger teams. And I was talking with them yesterday. I was like, yeah, man, I watched the game from 1963. And like, man, you watched a full game? I was like, yeah, like I do the research. Like I really enjoy it. And it is like so different. And like you do have to kind of like, it's almost like a muscle. Like you and I have watched some of these old games. Like we kind of know, like it's like a muscle. We know how to stretch. It's obviously different. You put yourself in a different frame of mind. Austin always talks about it. My brother Austin about like when he watches an old movie, he's like, I really like it because it feels like I'm going back in time and I'm like able to kind of view this thing like in this little, you know, box that I'm watching on. But I feel like I'm in that world for a little bit. And I felt that too. My girlfriend watched a little bit of this with me and she was getting an absolute kick out of it because obviously the game looks so different and the rules are different, right? The lane is way more narrow. Obviously there's no 3-point line. Like
there's every foul you have a free throw, and that might be why Cousy had 30 free throws in that one game.
Yes, because they couldn't guard him, so they just have to keep fouling. So yeah, any reach in foul is an automatic free throw. There's no bonus, and then obviously like a shooting foul is still 2 shots. But and even just like guys having different types of shots and forms, like it's pretty like everybody kind of shoots like relatively similarly now. Definitely not the case in 1963. I mean, and just where they shoot on the floor is just like so different. Obviously, there's no 3-point line. There's very few kind of just like high pick and rolls. Like it's just a very different game. And the defense is so, I almost call it like
passive.
It's like this, it's very passive, but it's like this almost like the purest of the pure style of basketball. Like nobody has any strategy on like how to stop or negate anyone. It's like this very soccer was like this too at this time. Well, maybe it's kind of 60s was kind of changing a little bit. But like in the 40s and 50s, it was straight up just like let's throw as many attacking players on the field as possible and just like hey, best man win. Whoever scores the most, let's see what happens. Like there weren't like managers who were kind of setting out to like kind of destroy and to kind of like stop the other team. And that's kind of when the game started to really shift into like a more strategic game. Basketball clearly at this point was still very just like you basically can kind of get off whatever shot you want. Like it's like, hey man, if this guy's a really good shooter, like, hey, I'll shake his hand and we'll kind of, go do it on the other end. Like there's no one's trapping. No, it's just so different. Like the way teams play defense. And I mean, if you think like anything around like today's game or the last 20 years is soft, I mean, some of the fouls they called in this game are like like literally touch fouls. Like you just barely touch a guy, and it's like foul. It's just automatic. Or how about a couple of the offensive fouls where a player just bumps as he turns to shoot, he kind of maybe bumps a guy, offensive foul. Like it's crazy some of the fouls they called. Like it just to a modern mind. Obviously at the time that was just like the normal rules.
I think about the evolution of the game between like when I was a kid to now. The evolution like times 3 like that is just it's incredible. So you're right. There's this muscle you have to stretch when you're watching games like this. I think if I showed my wife this game, she'd be like, "What the hell are you watching?" And I almost am now tempted to show her like a Bill Russell game or like a Wilt Chamberlain game, like when we get to those guys, because I think one of the bigger with like the big men, like the bigger names that she'll like actually know, like I think those would be like the ones that she's like, oh, okay, a big man who's just like out there just doing layups. I'm like, so I might be interested to see what her opinion is on that, but it is definitely a different feeling that you get watching some of these games. It is very nostalgic almost in that sense of like, I like what Austin says. You're going back in time and watching it, and I almost want to go back to the '60s and just feel like what it would be in what was then the Garden, and see what it'd be like at the Boston Garden and be in a suit. God, sweating in a suit. Guess what? This one's in LA, but this like just go back and go to LA and be in a suit and watch this game. Crazy.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Yeah. Everybody used to get so dressed up for games, and obviously some people still do that. But the majority of the crowd is in like sporting gear of some sort. Just so, I mean everything about it. The scores table, like I had that for my non-basketball moment. It was like I always get a kick out of watching this little game. That's like it's literally just a physical table, like a little folding table you would just set up to like play cards on. Like it's hilarious.
For my non-basketball moment, I hinted at her before we recorded with you. Mine was the fact that the announcer kept mentioning the monetary financial implications that it meant for the teams whenever they won. It was hilarious. They were talking about like pregame. They're like, not only does the title go to the champion, but the financial implications that it ends up for this franchise is only going to mean a lot. I'm like, who cares? Why are we not talking more about this? Could be the 5th title in a row for the Celtics. Why are we not talking more about that? And it was just like they end up going into that, but it's just so funny to me that we're so focused on the financial implications. That
kind of shows you where the league was, right? We talked about earlier. It's like it's so far back. It's like that actually was a huge deal. Like these teams needed whatever kind of cash they could get. I mean, shoot, part of the reason Russell was traded was like the Ice Capades thing. It's like that was like they needed that show to kind of like help, and obviously race also played a role there. But with Russell getting traded, from on draft day, but I all that stuff is so fascinating. Like the kind of like the way the game was broadcast, and like even that kind of transatlantic like accent that like the broadcasters put on. That's like back in it's just like so stereotypically 1963. But that's what made it fun to me.
It is a fun rewatch. This is a fun first watch for me.
I never watched this in full. No.
I love that this is the first time we're both watching this game. Like I think this is probably the first time where it's been both of us that have it was a first watch for both of us.
This is now the oldest full NBA game I've ever watched.
Can't imagine we're gonna find another one.
I don't think we will.
Apologies to George Mikan. We're probably not gonna find one for you, friend, but we will search the nether regions and the far and wides of YouTube. I don't know why I said nether regions, but that was the word that came to mind. Okay. Here we go. Would you ever buy a jersey of this player, or what jersey would you buy? I would buy a jersey.
100%. I would buy a jersey of Bob Cousy. How cool would that be? No name on the back. I'd have to make it. I want it to be like authentic. There's a guy who does custom jerseys that I'm going to place an order from pretty soon. That makes them like way better quality than like Mitchell and Ness, especially since Fanatics bought them. Like to the era specific stitching and like material. He is based very far away, but I'm gonna, if you order like 4 or 5 at a time, he gives you a decent deal. And I have a list of like really like I want some players that I can't find an actual jersey of, right? Like they didn't sell them at the time, so all old players. So I was gonna do like a Kareem Bucks, a Cousy Celtics. Like I have a few different that I want to do.
Do it. I think Dr. J Nets on that one too.
Dr. J, Dr. J is on there. Yes. Now they've sold plenty of Dr. J like throwbacks, like remake throwbacks. But do the Nets. But I want one that feels authentic. Yeah.
Do a Nets one. I think that one's better.
Yeah, I agree.
What other top 50 player would you pair with him? I think I have a very fun one, but I'm going to let you go first.
Oh, man, I'm curious. I went a little bit boring. I mean, in a similar mold that Bill Russell is, with a modern big that could do a lot of the scoring, that could help him, but also just a monster defensively that kind of kickstart his fast break and could run with him. And I put Hakeem Olajuwon.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, and he could be still a defensive anchor for a Cousy team. See, here's the thing. I went big man, but I did not go with an anchor. I went with another fun guy and give me Nikola Jokic and him on
I
the
was gonna
same
say Jokic
team.
would be a great one. The passing with Jokic, that's a great call.
Yeah. Listen, I don't know. It's just like talk about a team that would have such a fun energy to it. I'm just telling you, Jokic and Kuzi on the same team would be a whole. I think just a blast. But I do agree. I think we both have the same mold, a big man. I
Yeah,
mean, he can work with whatever wing you give him, but just like give him a good big man to run with. And I think we learned that that's what is just what was missing until Russell got there. Um, yeah, I like both of those options. The only I was trying to think of like an older wing, or not an older, like a 80s 90s wing that you could probably throw in there. Like I was thinking maybe
Scotty,
Dominique
Scotty.
or Scotty.
Yeah,
Scotty, my only thing, and I think Jokic might bump into this too. Both guys like to create or start the play.
yeah,
And I think
yeah.
Kuzi just does that. So I'm like, why can't like maybe Dominique just to have like the scoring load option?
Oh, they'd be so fun in transition too, like the lobs from
Yeah.
Kuzi to
Mm-hmm.
Meek. Yeah,
See, that's where my thought process went. And then my other one, I thought about just wing guy or just forward. Like, give me Barkley. Like, I thought Barkley would be a fun one too. But again, then you're like, just a lot of size giving up there. And then where is he now? I mean, we talked about it pre-pod. 97, still
yeah,
kicking it. He is the Celtics. I mean, he was part of the Celtics documentary that came out
yep.
2 years ago. Kind of a big factor into it too. And if I'm not mistaken, still hanging out in Mass.
Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, I actually made a note about that too. He's like, yeah, he was awesome on Celtic City. He's a great talker. Like, he's got that really,
Yes.
that French accent. Like, he's from New York. He's an awesome like resource to still kind of like tell stories. And he came up with a big thing recently, talking about Bill Russell and how and some of his black teammates and how he wish he would have done more to kind
Yes.
of like. He's like, I wish he's like, I feel like I helped them, but I actually wish there was more I would have done. There was like more I could have done to kind of step up and and like really help them kind of during that time and kind of it was on a lot of kind of powerful white athletes and people at the time to kind of say like, hey, this is not right, like look at what we're doing, this is not right. And he's like, I did that within the team, but I think publicly I think he wishes he would have done more, which I thought was really like honest, and I kind of appreciated him saying that. Just seems like a fascinating guy, like a guy I'd love to like have dinner with. I feel like he has so many interesting stories and just seems like really charismatic. Just I mean, just a totally unique dude. Yeah. What a cool player.
I totally agree. I think, and he says in that Celtics doc too, like he's like, I wish I would have done more for Satch. Wish I would have done more for Sam and Russell. And I think that's one of the things too. Him and Russell have like a great but also tenuous relationship that they've discussed, like just throughout their entire time together. Whether it be just the fact that Russell kind of took over as the number one guy for them for a few years there too, at the tail end of his career, and he's like, I don't know if he fully appreciated that, but then he's like, and then you can see just like their energy on the court did not show that at all. But like off the court, I'm sure it was mentioned in the doc that there was just tensions, and maybe that played a factor to it too. I don't know, but I appreciate the hindsight to say that. I think that's what's the key too. And another guy, which we talked about with like Calvin Murphy in the Harden episode, another guy who praises this version of the NBA, another guy who loves the evolution that we've seen in the NBA. And so I think that's one of the things I appreciate about him a lot is just that insight or perspective, which is great.
Yeah, he is comfortable enough in his own skin that he can praise other people. I think that's really a big piece of it. That he knows, hey, these things evolve, and like and he stayed involved in the game, to some degree. Obviously, we got to mention Austin would be upset if we didn't mention his turn in blue chips. So yeah, just kind of classic little role there. But yeah, this has been really fun to kind of digging into his career, and this is kind of a guy like this is why we want to do this series, because it's like it's somebody, oh yeah, Bob Cousy, or he's mentioned in kind of the almost like making fun of him now, like the kind of like, oh, Cousy didn't hang in today's, like that whole like just nonsense. But when you watch him play, you're like, no, I understand why he was so great. You understand the the MVP and all the All-Star teams, the All NBA teams, and yeah, an awesome, just entertaining player to watch. And this was just really fun to do.
Totally agree. Friday, or next episode, we're staying in the Northeast, but we're just going to fast forward a few years, like almost 2 decades, 3 decades. We're going to talk about our guy in New York, who was the king of New York, maybe still, Patrick Ewing.
Big Pat.
Big Pat. And I am very excited to go back and watch some Patrick Ewing games. This is going to be an interesting one. I'm excited though. Thanks everyone for listening. We will be back later this week to do Patrick Ewing. Keep us updated on what you think of the episode so far. Adam and I are really enjoying this. We're going to have some more guests as we kick into a lot of this series, but we are very excited for these next few episodes. This has been Anatomy of a Superstar, and this has been Bob Cousy.